So the next one is going to be called the sounding of the fifth trumpet. Start. Oh. The sounding of the fifth trumpet. You have been given a chance, one single opportunity, just for you, little one. You don't have to endure the tribulations about to be unleashed. You can escape all of that misery. All you have to do is listen to my voice. As before, it begins the same. A faint hum vibrates from the sky that tickles the back of your throat. The resonance builds to a thunderous resounding blast of one of the seven celestial trumpets. Each time that horrible sound is heard, it has heralded the start of another 3 years of suffering, each more horrifying than the last. 4 times as the trumpet sung its song, before the echo of the fifth trumpet fades, you'll be given your chance to escape. When that familiar tickle re-emerges, an object will appear in the sky. As it nears, the intensity of the deep tone grows. You know it is only a matter of time before the deafening blast is heard once more. However, this time, what is to come will be different. The past 4 soundings of a trumpet brought with it disasters never seen in such magnitude, yet you understood what they were. Yes, they were terrifying, but it was all within the realm of your understanding. You know what makes the earth roll and quake. You know why fiery mountains fall from the heavens. Knowledge has freed you from this archaic belief in the supernatural. No longer does such nonsense deceive you into believing the displeasure of a god will call the hurricane, or a curse summon the cyclone, or a hex will bring down the plague upon you. It is something different that approaches from above. It is an abomination. It is wormwood. The Hebrews called him Abaddon the Banished. The Greek knew him as Apollyon the Destroyer. Life as he knew it is now over, for he holds the keys to the bottomless pit that has imprisoned his army since even before the words, "Let there be light," were spoken. Do you remember the first time we spoke, little one? After the second trumpet sounded, you were given a vision of the pools of Natruna, Sichela. If you were able to find the location of those secret waters, go there now. See pools sit at the end of a T-shaped rock formation. As the moon peeks out from the horizon, his crimson light gives the waters the appearance of blood. Ah, okay, she's getting food. Fantastic. Fantastic. The higher it rises in the sky, long shadows are cast upon the rock. The likeness and resemblance of a man outstretched upon the rocks will appear before you. Stand in the centre of the 3 pools. Tread carefully, for you stand before the image of the sacrament laid upon his symbol. Each pool has a name: the pierced left hand, the pierced right hand, and the pierced foot. Prepare yourself to receive the blessing of the pierced abdomen. It requires you to be anointed with the ethereal spearhead that will now run you through. It is no outward wound, but blood is now seeping internally into the empty places within you. Your body has now become the 4th pool of sacrifice. When you collapse from the pain, ensure that you fall into one of the pools of water. If you fall into dry earth, you will miss your only chance to enter the portal, and you will lose the anointment. As punishment, your wounds will be healed, but you will live the remainder of your days marked as was Cain, hunted by both angel and demon. If successful, You will awaken in a dark, candle-lit stone building, lined with pews ending at a great altar. You stand upon the place of worship where the crossroads meet. Behind you are sea mirrors, very similar in orientation to the pools of water you recently stood before. Shake off the chill from your wet body and make haste, little one. Time moves differently here, and we must move quickly. Look to the altar. Do you see it? There in the shadows, a figure is kneeling in the distance. Slowly and cautiously approach it. The creature is tall and hooded. It should be deep in prayer or whispering strange incantations. If it is not, do not come any closer. Only approach if it isn't prayer. Do not interrupt. Any disruption will be considered a great offense, resulting in a painful death for you. Kneel in front of it. Bow your head. Do not make eye contact and wait. Be patient and make no mistake, it knows you are there. Once it has considered you and deemed you worthy, it will acknowledge your presence. However, if it decides you're not worthy, well, there really isn't much more that is to be said now, is there? It will ask you, why have you come before me? Quickly tell it, I seek passage over the bridge. It will take its time before answering. You lack the knowledge to accomplish such a deed. Be brave, little one. Once these words depart your lips, there is no turning back. The creature towers above you. I seek the knowledge of the bit forbidden. I wish to know. What is the image of God? It will slowly lift his head. Close your eyes. Shut them tight. You'll hear his body creaking like breaking branches of a tree. It leans close, taking in descent from the air. His hands hover and they circle over you. The fingers glide in the air, following the shape and curves of your body, coming ever so close but never quite touching you. A deep, quivering exhale of breath escapes the creature's mouth, and it makes contact with your skin. It caresses your face with one hand. As the Ayatollah rises slowly to embrace your head from the nape of the neck, his bony fingers envelops your entire head from behind. Even with your eyes closed and his mouth unseen, you could tell it is pleased with what it holds. You could tell it is smiling. It will grab by the wrists and lift you off the ground. The ferocity of his grip is both sigil and violent. You're dangled helplessly above the ground as it brings you closer to the face hidden in the shadows. Underneath his dark and worn hood, his breath coats your face with a prickly dust that stings your face. Droplets of saliva fall from its mouth and hit the ground as a scabbed tongue emerges from underneath the hood. It slides and probes the entire surface of your face until it finds particular interest in where your eyes rest. It is here where it wishes to enter. The cold lumpy tongue will start pushing, poking, squeezing and groping the tops of each eyeball's rear eyelids. You feel the shame and demoralization intensely from this. Pressure builds in your head from your closed eyes as it continues to violate the organs that hide within your eyelids. The scabs feel like hundreds of fingers. His fingernails quickly fight where your eyelids meet and scratch viciously to try and pry them open. Shut your eyes tighter. The fingers intensify his efforts to dig into your eyes with raw and seemed desperation. None of the scabby protrusions burst, coating your face with a hot, sticky tar-like fluid that slid burns. Putrid from the abscesses spill onto you as the tongue contributes to throb on the surface of your closed eyes. Suddenly the tongue withdraws and there is silence. Keep your eyes shut and wait. Eventually you begin to make out the sound coming from the being. There's a cross between more than a hum. It's not quite a voice singing, as there is no melody to the sound, but like melodic singing, there is a flow to the tones and variation in the intonation. Listen carefully and the words will emerge for you to hear. It happened after the sons of Adam had multiplied in those days. The angels, the children of heaven, beheld them, and some became enamored with the image from whence he was created. They conspired amongst each other and said, "Come, Let us select ourselves from the progeny of men. And so, that were gone unto them by insatiable hunger and thirst, sensation unfamiliar to our kind. We then swore all together, and all bound ourselves by mutual expiations, to abandon our holy station. We descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Ammon, and devoured all which the labour of men produced. To our delight, the flesh of man cried out to us in return and embraced our new form. They loved us, and we came to love them. Never had such pleasures of skin, pleasures of sight, pleasures of the tongue, and pleasures of the mind being experienced by any living thing. Man was shown the wondrous transcendence of the grotesque, and revealed to vile decadence of purity. During our time together, we taught them sorcery and incantations. We gave them knowledge of the soldering of metal and healing of herbs. We instructed them in the ways of architecture and mathematics. We revealed power so great to allow them to command the atom from within the rocks of the mountain and from the water of the sea. We freed their minds and released them from the enslavement of the fabric. In turn, they worshipped us, and their love for us strengthened. They basked in our adoration, but it was not true love we bestowed, it was a deception. Their actions and deeds came with dire consequences. We had angered the Creator and desecrated His creation. Mad with rage, the Father plunged His hand into the fabric of reality and altered the delicate strands of fate and possibilities. With His divine manipulation, He altered the pattern and set into motion a new feature in the predestined plan. We had been judged. We had condemned ourselves and humanity to an eternity of suffering and pain. Our bodies would be scorched and burned until the end of time in a lake of fire and brimstone. However, not all was lost, for we had discovered the forbidden secret. Man, they were true salvations. We prepared and moulded them in our image. And when they were ready, they begot the Nephilim. I will lean closer and whisper into your ear ever so softly. I shall grant thee thy request, for it is the seed to the holiest of lies. The dirty lie that brought forth the original sin, a great harvest will come out from that seed that is the very fruit of knowledge of the good and the evil. It is such forbidden knowledge that binds the Creator to the laws of His creation, a way to deceive the eyes of the one who is all-seeing, and swap the mind of the one who is all-knowing. But be warned, for if I bestowed His wisdom unto thee, forever it will restrain thee to my will. Behold, the answer thou seek is, thou art not of the image. Then it stops. You are alone in darkness. Slowly open up your eyes. I know you're scared, little one, but it is safe now. Get to your feet. The great altar is split open and revealed an entrance that allows you to proceed onwards. The pain in your side must be getting worse by now. I can see a protrusion the size of an apple has formed in your side. You don't have much time. Enter the altar and move on. You enter a large opening with a dark ravine separating you and a structure containing stairs leading up to what appears to be a temple. From the ravine grows thick black thorns that slightly sway, even though there is no wind. Their points glisten with a substance that can only be poison. Do not get too close. In the centre of the ravine is a single pathway that juts up from the thickest of needles and thorns that will provide you safe passage to walk on. The pathway ends at the far end to the foot of the stairways, the temple. At the top of the stairs will be 4 thrones, where the one is known as the 4 living creatures reign. They are covered with eyes, in front and in back, and they look down on you with an unnerving, mischievous stare. The first living creature is that of a lion, the second is like an ox, the third will have the face of a man, and the fourth is like a great eagle. Each of the 4 living creatures will have 6 wings covered with eyes all around, even under its wings. At the foot of each creature a body on its knees chants continuously before them. Usually the faces look up to the sky with their arms pulled and stretched outwards like barbed shackles embedded in the flesh. The manacles stretch and contort the limbs to mimic the act of eternal worship. His flesh is bleached white and heavily scarred from head to toe. He wears a blood-red smock from his waist down to his feet and holds dirty curved blades in his hands. Branded on their backs is a roof that bears the resemblance of a cross with hooked ends. Consider yourself fortunate they have their backs towards you, and their mutilated faces are obscured from your view. They are Biesh. Cautiously moves past them. They were 4 men, 3 kings and leaders of the world. They ruled vast lands that ran red with innocent blood for every man, woman and child who had the misfortune of being born into their kingdom. The 4 kings were like grown children, spoiled and naked, fighting each other, biting and gnawing the tits of the great mother. Yes, a face beaten and scratched from where they would feed so viciously. They knew what to gorge on, a black milk that flows from deep within the bosom. Their greed and decadence, their very existence offended all who could peer into your world. Their wicked lives were ended the day they were raptured and bound like statues within the wall of this great temple. They must now worship the 4 living creatures as they once commanded others to worship them in life. They suffer now, as their kingdom suffered, for every son and daughter who fled death from fighting the wars they created. Their skin is blistered and torn, and their eyes are stung with the venom from the tails of 1,000 scorpions, but be warned, if they are awakened from their trance and given the use of their limbs once again, one can be well assured they will not be pleasant. In unison, the 4 creatures will hold up a key, each with a unique elbow emblem on its ends, and speaks, choose. Choose now. Choose once. Choose quickly. The first creature that looks like a lion will offer you its quick key and says, Aqueous. The ox will offer you his key and say, Leviathan. Stud creature with a face like a man offers his key and says, Clifter Dati. Lastly, the creature that is like an eagle will offer you the final key and say, Scytherisma. As the last key is presented, you hear brittle crackling, like autumn leaves from the movement of dead skin behind you, followed by a loud clank of chains falling to the ground. Make your choice and make it quickly. The Piesh are beginning to stir. Once they see you, they will catch you and they'll kill you. Make your choice. You will know which one to choose, I promise. Take the key and run. Run faster. Run faster. They're coming. Their howls are high-pitched gurgles and hisses. The screeches build as they close the distance between you and them. The slices of the blades come closer and closer. The blood pouring out of your mouth and nose cannot slow you down. Run faster. Run faster. Do not stop until you reach the church of worship. Head straight for the dark glass you saw when you first woke at the church. Do not slow down. Run head first into it. Crash into the mirror. Do not look back. Do not look back. Whatever you do not look back. You will awaken shortly. The pools of water are now dried up earth, cracked and barren. The moon should be at its peak, tight in the sky, covering the land with its red glow. In the distance, on the plain, you should see a piercing shimmer of light. It is only temporary. As the moon loses its red shade, the beacon too begins to diminish in darkness. I'm so sorry you're in so much pain, dearest little one. It pains me to ask any more of you. Your body has so little left to give, it is weak and fragile, but I must ask one last thing of you. One final plea I must beg of you. You must reach that beacon of light in the distance before the last of the red men shines down upon it, or you will be trapped. I am here for you. Push aside all the pain and despair. Listen to my voice and use everything you have left. Get to that light now. Abaddon is here. He hears from miles away as Arizal knocks you off your feet. Get up, little one. There isn't much time. Abaddon is near, and his thoughts are of nothing but you. You see the brilliant beam of light shoot up into the sky. The source of this powerful beacon comes from an archway standing on an empty plain. Within the archway is a massive and majestic door standing in the emptiness. With the key in hand, you must get that door open before the red moon shines down upon it. No more, and any hope of saving you is lost forever. Ignore the wheezing sound you make when you breathe. Pull open that door. The blood from your mouth is everywhere, making it hard for you to get a good grip on the door handle. Pull harder. You only need to open it enough for you to squeeze through. The light is almost gone. Pull, pull, pull. You did it. Get in and shut the door as fast as you can and lock it. The light is gone. It is done. If you place your ear to the door, you may hear something that sounds like buzzing or fluttering, a sound that could only be made by the flapping of 1,000,000 wings. There will be scraping and there will be beating on the other side of the great door, then only screams. Behind you is a long dark tunnel with a light at the end. Walk into the light and claim your reward, little one. This is the epilogue. I walked into the bright light. Slowly my eyes adjusted to the brightness, but I could already feel a warm breeze on my face and hear a trickling from a nearby stream. Everything slowly comes into focus. The most beautiful valley spanned out in front of me. It was made as hills of green, sprinkled with every colour imaginable, where the most beautiful flowers peppered the landscape. I walked towards a clearing and saw a crystal blue pond. I dipped my cup hands into the water and drank. It soothed my chapped lips and parched throat. It was amazingly sweet, and it was an odd sensation as I swallowed the water. It was like a shock from a tiny bit of electricity, but without any pain, only satisfaction. I then caught the scent of something new and intoxicating. On the far side of the pond was a gathering of trees. I actually knew that among these, there was one that is the source of that unceasing smell. I knew there was no other like it. Its leaf, its flower, and its bark would never wither, and its red fruit would be so beautiful and delicious. As I approached the border of the foliage, that's when I saw them, a man and a woman. I froze. The couple was walking hand in hand, and I think they were naked. I made my way closer, making sure to stay hidden behind the bush. I don't know why I was hiding from view. Why should I be afraid of a couple of naked people? Yep, they were definitely naked. I looked around and realized that my tree was at the center of the grove that held this paradise. But next to my tree was another tree. It was just as majestic and impressive, but there was something ominous about it, something powerful. I looked carefully at these two unique and special trees that grew in this garden. I now realized what this place was and where I'm at. I'm startled when I feel something vibrate in my pocket. It was the key I chose. As I removed the large key from my pocket, I rolled to my palm. I noticed the markings on its emblem in more detail. It was offered to me by the winged creature. I simply thought it was marked with the infinity symbol. Upon closer look, now I realized it was a serpent devouring its own tail in the shape of the infinity symbol. My mind was unlocked. It was also clear now I knew my purpose. I knew why I was chosen. I knew why I was created. It was always God's will to destroy his creation. Once destroyed, he could fulfill his promise to bind his enemies and cast them into the lake of fire, where they would suffer for all eternity. Trumpets were a countdown to his planned end. Those branded, the enemy had spent their immortality trying to find a way to prevent it from happening. But how do you outsmart an omniscient and omnipresent being? He used the very laws of existence against them. So was the creation of the universe. Laws had to be created. He had no choice but subject himself to those laws for the universe to exist. The fallen ones realized the only way to prevent the end was to break the predestined, inevitable chain of events leading to the end. He must have figured out how to connect the 2 points of existence, creating a bridge for me to enter. It causes everything to stop and reset back to the very beginning instead of continuing along the predestined path. It never ends and never reaches Judgment Day. Existence was a loop. You're destined to keep repeating over and over and over again to escape damnation. There was infinity, like the serpent devouring his tail. The serpent was thought to be Lucifer, God's adversary. But Lucifer was not a thing or an entity with thought or consciousness. He was the infinity of time, the only thing capable of denying God's divine will. It was the one simple thing that is protecting us from the wrath of an angry God. I felt its familiar presence immediately. I don't turn around, but even if I did, I knew it wouldn't harm me. It stood behind me for a while, quietly admiring his works. It gently placed a large and cold object in my hands before the fallen angel spoke the words that would be my final instructions. I looked down at the key, mesmerized by the shape of the serpent. It was so old and worn. The jewel that made up the serpent's eye twinkled in contrast to the bright red piece of fruit held in my other hand. I now understood. I had one more thing to do. I wondered how many times I've done this. How many times have I crossed the bridge and stood at this very spot? How many? Man was created in the image of God, but I am not the image. I am the serpent. I am Nephilim. The dead had a faint whisper. Now sweat and warm was spoken into my ear. Just 5 simple words. Make them eat, little ones. So that one was the sounding of the 5th trumpet. That was pretty